Just when things seem to be going well, Chapter 12. Just when things seemed to be going well for the colonists, Pocahontas's uncle, the sachem Opechancanough, decided to try to get rid of them all. Some historians think that Opechancanough was the Indian prince who had been taken to Spain by Spanish priests, educated, and returned to his people. Whether he was or not, everyone agrees that he was intelligent and crafty, and that he hated the white men who were stealing his land. In 1622, Opechancanough was an old man. Perhaps he thought it was his last chance to save his people. So he planned a great massacre. Indians knocked on the colonists' doors pretending to be friendly, and then they murdered and scalped everyone that they saw. They might have killed everyone if an Indian boy, Chenko, hadn't warned the men and women at Jamestown. Chenko had been treated kindly by the settlers and had become a Christian. The settlements outside Jamestown didn't get warned, however. Hundreds of English men, women, and children were killed in the Great Massacre of 1622. Side notes. To massacre means to kill brutally and often in large numbers. Another snippet of information, Opechancanough never gave up. In 1644, his warriors attacked Jamestown again. He was so old and feeble by that time, he had to be carried about on a bed. Attendants held his eyelids open so he could see, but his mind had not lost its power. The reading continues here. King James was upset. There were too many deaths in Virginia. He set up a government investigation, and then he closed down the Virginia Company. The stockholders had been wiped out anyways. Their stock was now worthless. King James then took Virginia and it became a royal colony. However, the king didn't spend much time thinking about the Virginia colony. It was too far away, and he had problems, big problems at home. Another side note. After the Jamestown Massacre, the English had an excuse for killing Indians, and the bloodshed became more intense. Killings were followed by revenge raids, more killings, and more revenge on both sides. Coming back to the reading, James believed that God had given him the right to rule. He called it divine right. He thought that divine right meant he could do almost anything he wanted to. Parliament didn't agree, and Parliament controlled most of the money in England. Parliament wouldn't give James the cash he wanted. Things got edgy. Now James was actually a thoughtful man who might have made a fine professor. While he was on the throne, the Bible was translated into English, and that translation is what we know as the King James Bible. It was read in most Protestant churches in America until the 20th century. Many people believe it is the most beautiful translation ever. But what England needed was a strong political leader, not a professor. One historian said King James was, open quote, two men, a witty, well-read scholar who wrote, disputed, and harangued, and a nervous, driveling idiot who acted. Close quote. King Henry IV of France called him, open quote, the wisest fool in Christendom. Close quote. James just wasn't the right type to be a king. He was in the wrong profession. A side note here says, to dispute means to argue. To harangue means to talk or lecture someone very forcefully. Drivel is stupid talk. Let's come back to the reading. Let's get into a time capsule and take a look at King James's realm. Things are not going well at all. Farmers who rent land from the rich landowning lords are being thrown off their farms. The landlords want the land because of the new craze for sheep farming. For some reason no one quite understands, the population is growing faster than it has ever done before. Jobs are hard to find. London and the countryside are full of beggars and starving people. Some of them climb on ships and pray for luck and a better life in the new world. Boatloads of people begin crossing the ocean. Many of those who sail are convicts let out of jail if they will make the voyage. Englishmen write of America as a place to send their poor and troubled. Some of the settlers are orphans. Many are very young. Heat and germs and Indians will kill most of them, yet they keep coming. Some prosper. Here's another note on the side, titled Bibles and Books. The King James Bible is made up of two parts. the Old Testament, and the New Testament. Then there are other names by which we refer to parts of the Bible. The Old Testament is also known as the Hebrew Bible, and the first 5 books, do you know their names? In the Old Testament make up the Jewish Torah. The Greek name for the first 5 books is the Pentateuch. The first 4 books of the New Testament are the Gospels. These speak of the life of Jesus. Another name for the King James Bible is the Authorized Version, because its publication was authorized by the king himself. Now let's return to the reading. By mid-century, which century was it, do you remember? There are brick houses at Jamestown, a brick church, a fine state house, and plenty of food. For the European settlers, the American dream has begun. Those who are tough and work hard will find in America a land of opportunity like no land before it.